On the same day that I passed 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I made a YouTube short where I very briefly talked about the severe stutter I used to have for 7 long years, from age 12 to age 19. Now that I'm almost at 2 million subscribers, I figured it's a great time to make a video where I go into a little more detail about how severe and how negatively impactful that stutter really was on my life. You might not be able to tell right now, but there was a time when I was younger where I couldn't even say my own name without stuttering. I couldn't say Ali Coca without stuttering. Now, not only did I overcome that stutter, but I turned my speech into my greatest strength and made a career out of it that's still growing. I don't remember exactly how it started, but I remember when it started. I was 12, I was in grade 7. I had never had an issue with stuttering before. I could speak normally, no issues whatsoever. I was a normal talker. I spoke 2 languages, Turkish and English, never had a trouble with stuttering in either one. But I remember around March of grade 7, I started to stutter in class, in school, when I would speak. When the teacher would ask questions, I would for some reason have trouble responding without stuttering. And I thought, okay, it's gonna pass. It's not gonna get any worse. And little did I know, that was just the beginning. And the stuttering, literally by the day, got worse and worse. And to make matters even worse, for the 7 years that I stuttered, I went to a different school every year. Yeah, I moved around a lot, and from grade 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to my first year of university, all different schools. And I was always the new kid who came in with a stutter. So just when my old classmates would kind of get used to me stuttering, all of a sudden, I go to a new school where I'm now the new kid who stutters. Also, man, kids are ruthless, man. They're just so friggin' ruthless. There's, as a kid, you're so insecure, so all you want to do is make fun of other insecure people. And maybe it's the fact that at that age, you don't really know how to handle somebody speaking negatively about you properly. But it was so friggin' hard growing up with a stutter. It absolutely sucked, man. It was so bad. I couldn't say my own name properly. Like, it just ate at me every single time I tried to say a sentence. For example, you're in class, you guys are all reading a book, and the teacher calls on you to take over from a certain paragraph or a chapter. Whenever she'd say my name, I would always dread it because I knew I was gonna stutter. You can't say anything. You're just doing that motion. You're trying to get the word out. You're trying to say your name, Ali. And everyone in class turns back and looks at you, with that look. Some of them of pity, some of them of disgust, some of them of laughter, or some of them just out of confusion, just giving you looks all the time, every day, everywhere you go for years. I'd be in a grocery store and I'd want to go to the bathroom, so I'd see an employee and ask him where the bathroom was. But instead of asking where's the bathroom, I would say, you could see the look on their face. They'd be like, like what? Like, what's this guy saying? And I hated it, man. It was so bad because I knew if I got past that stutter, I knew I could communicate and talk very well. I just knew that in my soul and in my heart that I could and would get past this. I just didn't know how long it would take. To make matters even worse, I had a father that for some reason took my stuttering personally. Like, he thought I was trying to disrespect him when I stuttered. And of course, when he would do that, when he would get mad at me because I was stuttering, it made me stutter even worse. So it was this vicious cycle of never-ending stuttering everywhere, all the time. And I realized also maybe a year or 2 into my stutter that if I spoke very fast, I didn't have a chance to stutter. So, for example, say the words, Sally went to the seashore, I would say, Sally went to the seashore. And of course, in my head, I'm thinking I didn't stutter. But to everyone listening, they didn't understand a word I just said. So they would say, can you repeat that? And I would say, Sally went to the seashore. Again, just Tried just literally warping words together and mixing them together where it only made sense in my head and no one else's. My rhythm of speech was completely, immeasurably screwed. This is in the year 2010, 2011, was when I realized I needed professional help. Because no matter what I did, no matter how I tried to overcome that stutter, it just would not work. I would search how to overcome stuttering videos on YouTube, on Google, everywhere I could find. But for some reason, nothing I found was able to fix my problem. So at the time in 2011, I was living in Istanbul, Turkey. And I found this place, maybe about 45 minutes from my house, called Keke Melody, which was this speech therapy school that teaches people, mainly kids, but also some adults too, how to stop stuttering. I was 16 at the time when I started there. And I go there. It was the first time in my life I met other people who stuttered. And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, it's not just me who has this problem. Others have it too. And there were kids there 6, 7 years old, all the way to adults 50 years old. Just a complete mix of people. Again, mainly most of them were, I would say, kids under the age of 20. Because also, as I learned in that school, your stutter, if you have one as a kid, you generally overcome it as an adult. It doesn't really follow you into adulthood. In some cases it can, and that's what the adults in that school were. I learned in that school that stuttering is something that can happen to anybody. It's not something you're born with. I remember they would ask all of us in front of the classroom, how did you start stuttering? And of course, everyone's so happy to share their problems and how it started, because for once in their life, they feel like they can be understood and listened to. And the most common answer the kids would give is when they were very young, like maybe 3 or 4 years old, they were chased by a wild animal, mainly a stray dog. And that traumatized them to such an extent it caused a stutter. I remember one guy, he said when he was 14, he saw a thief in his house and they locked eyes in the middle of the night. And that traumatized him so much it caused him to stutter. Now me, like I said before, I don't know exactly what caused mine, I just know it started. I learned at that school that my rhythm of speech was messed up. And your rhythm of speech can get messed up for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's because you had a trauma as a kid. Maybe it's because your breathing patterns are all messed up. Maybe it's because you speak different languages, and that can cause some different issues in your brain relating to speech. But just a variety of reasons. So what they did in that school is they made me completely go mute for about 5 days. I couldn't say a word. Not one word came out of my mouth. And that was so my brain would subconsciously forget that I stuttered. And at the end of the 5 days, those days depend on how bad your stutter really is. If it's like a really, really bad stutter, they might make you not talk for 2 weeks. If it's like not that bad, you might not talk for 3 days. For me, it was 5 days. And at the end of the 5 days, they started to make me read passages or paragraphs from a book, but in a very special way. And the best way I can describe this is, for example, I got a Presto card right here, former bus pass. But instead of saying the word presto, I would say presto. So I would lengthen the first vowel of the word. And that would be how I spoke. For example, instead of saying today is Tuesday, I would say today is Tuesday. That's how you speak, and you lengthen the first vowel of every word. And within a period of 3 months, if you do this consistently, the lengthening of the vowels gets shorter and shorter by itself. Of course, that fixes your stutter. You learn a new rhythm of speaking with proper breathing. And all of a sudden, you can speak properly. And that to me was such an alien feeling that at the time, I didn't know I could do. I didn't know I could speak without stuttering. Now, I was also, at the time, kind of stupid, because I didn't follow this school's rules. I didn't lengthen those vowels because I was always afraid of the people judging me for lengthening my vowels. I was afraid they would think I was mentally retarded, because when you lengthen the vowels of every first word, you get some weird looks. And I had many times people think I actually was mentally retarded. But the alternative to that is you keep stuttering. And unfortunately, that's what I chose. I chose to keep stuttering for a few more years, because I, for some reason, didn't want to go for 3 months of lengthening vowels and sounding a little bit different. Over the years, I had some moments where I was like, you know what? I need to fix my stuttering. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. And just never really got around to it until my first year of university, where I kind of just had an epiphany or like a boom moment. And I'm like, I'm going to fix this. I'm not going to have this be a problem anymore in my life. I knew what I had to do to stop stuttering. I silenced myself, and then I started to read passages and speak with lengthening the first vowel of every word, and I overcame my stutter. And I realized the very first moment that I was no longer a stutterer was during a university class. It was in the summer between first and second year. I was taking a summer course, and I had to give a presentation. I was standing in front of the class. I was so nervous for this presentation. All of a sudden, it starts, and I was flowing. I was just connecting word after word. Everything was going so well. The classroom was super into it. Everybody was super engaged and attentive. And when it was over, my hands were dripping with sweat down to my elbows. But I had done it. I had gone through the entire presentation without stuttering. At that point, I realized, I'm like, I am no longer a stutterer. And to even be here right now, where I am, age 28, having a career made out of YouTube for my speech, which I got better and better and better at. I'm sure if younger me saw me, he would not believe how far I've come. And current me believes in how much further I can go and how much further older me is gonna go. And I wanna end this video off by telling to any people who have a stutter right now in their life, I promise you, you can overcome your stutter. And once you do, it's gonna feel like the chains have been ripped off your body. Something that's been holding you back for so long is gonna be gone. Now, you can go on YouTube, you can go on Google, and you can find courses for free on how to stop stuttering. Biggest lesson that I learned from that speech therapy school that I went to was you have to believe in yourself that you can and you will overcome that stutter. That's what everything is about. You have to believe in it here and here, that you will overcome it. Maybe right now you don't speak properly, but you can and you will one day. We would have these sessions where we would all meditate together in that school, where the teacher would tell us as we had our eyes closed, she would tell us positive thoughts about believing in ourselves. She would tell us stories of famous people who had a stutter growing up. And I never knew that, like Samuel L. Jackson, Rowan Atkinson. I never knew those guys had stutters growing up. And the list was super long of people who did stutter, but they all overcame it. All of them. And look at them now. And crazy to say, I am now one of those success stories. To this day, I only have one tattoo. I got it pretty recently, but it's still the only one I have. It's the word believe. Because I know you can turn your biggest weakness into your greatest strength when you believe. When you believe, anything is possible. Anything. But first, you gotta believe.